We're speaking to Ismail Eli this morning. He is a Cape Malay. Very, very interesting. Now, thank you so much, Ismail, for agreeing to speak to us on the Light Breakfast here in Malaysia.
Only a pleasure to share our views from the southern tip of South Africa, which is Cape Town.
Now, I understand that you are actually the chairman of the Cape Malays Choir, and you travel around the world promoting Cape Town. How has that experience been like for you?
Yeah, currently I'm the chairperson after our president passed on in July.
Oh, no.
Until we have an election again for the next president. So I'm the chairperson till the elections, which means that the Cape Malay Choir board still continues as is.
So what do you do as chairperson of the Cape Malays Choir?
Yeah, I manage the Cape Malay Choir board. We consist of about 30 choirs. Each choir consists of about plus minus 60 to 100 members.
Oh,
so if you add up 30 times 100, gives you almost 3,000 members.
Wow.
Oh my God.
To this organization. Yeah, and we have an annual event which is called choir competitions, meaning that they sing against one another for the best prize, which are then awarded trophies for the best singers.
So only the Cape Malays can join the Cape Malay Choir?
No, not really. We're actually a multinational organization. Anyone is welcome to join up.
I see.
That likes the tradition and likes the songs.
Okay.
And
Do you sing in Malay though?
No, we sing in Afrikaans.
Ah, right. Okay.
Yeah, that was started in the early years with the Malays coming from Malaysia and those places. They started Afrikaans here in South Africa in Cape Town. So we're actually continuing with that particular tradition by singing Afrikaans.
Nice.
And one genre is in Hollands, which is called the Netherlands song.
Yeah, because Afrikaans is very close to Dutch, isn't it?
That's it, yes. That's why we sing one genre in Dutch, which is Netherlands.
Gezellig.
Yes.
Now, Ismail, do we call you Ismail? Do we call you Eli?
You can call me anything. Ismail is fine.
Ismail. Okay.
Most people know me in Cape Town as Eli.
Oh, Eli. Okay, not Eli. Okay, Eli. Yeah. Now, Eli, you are Malay from Cape Town, also known as Cape Malay. Tell us a little bit about yourself. Like, how many generations of Cape Malay are there in Cape Town?
Well, as you know, Cape Town, South Africa, has started in 1862, in 1652. In 1680, a few years later, the Malays came from Indonesia, Java, and Malaysia as slaves and as artisans. Good artisans. In fact, if you see the buildings around here, you will see that they built the buildings. And they all came via ship as political prisoners, some of them. There is one Tuang Guru that we have here and a Tuang Yusuf
Tuan
of
Guru.
Makassar.
Okay.
Yes. Now, every year, the Indonesian consulate comes over to Cape Town, where Tuang Yusuf lays, and he pays tribute to that particular area.
Okay, so Tuan Yusuf is from Indonesia. Was from Indonesia.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so most of us, some of the people today, you can see their complexion, the outlook is mostly, not mostly, but most of them are Indonesian, and Malaysian descent. You can still see the features of the people.
So do you know how many generations you are?
Yeah, myself, I don't know how far back. As you hear, my surname is Eli, so I'm probably half German and Malay. As you know, when they came here, they were the indigenous people of Africa, of Cape Town here, which was called the Bushmen or the Hottentot. They still exist here. And the intermingle of people coming over resulted in a mixed generation. So we go far back as 1680, from when they started coming here, including the Dutch that brought them here, that also settled here, Malaysian and Indonesian, and the political prisoners that came here, the intermarriage. That's why South Africa, Cape Town is a mixed race, a mixed features, different surnames. It dictates from which country you're coming from. And if I can't make out your surname, the colonists have made the surname for you, which was suitable for them. If they can't pronounce it, they make it easy for them. Surname. But because of they can't pronounce the surname, they make it easy for them to, and they say you're that's was it, yeah.
So you would safely say that most of the Cape Malays in Cape Town are originally from Indonesia and Malaysia.
And Java, yes, mostly from Java.
Javanese, okay.
Javanese. There's a book from Cape Town, a more in depth of how they originated, the names and surnames and a whole history, but it's more in depth from the time when they came here, how they existed, how they were not allowed to practice their faith, the Muslim faith, and they had to do it underground. And to keep them together, that is where the songs came in. All events that took place on sea or on land, they made songs of it, and by singing these songs, kept them together in a form of underground, which means in the silence they do their prayers and their religion they practice in silence, because they could not do that with the Dutch colony at the time. And since then, 300 years ago, it grew from where it is today, much stronger than what it was. That's why the mosques that is built here in Cape Town dates back to 1700s, even late 1600s, the 1700s onwards, the mosque, some of the mosques, and it still stands today.
Okay, so they date back thousands of years, 1,000 years at least, right?
Yeah, since 1800s.
So you can't really count the generations already.
Can't count the generations, yeah. We go way far back.
Yeah. Now, I actually read that the Cape Malays had an area specifically meant for them in Cape Town.
Yes,
back in the day.
That is correct. Yes.
But something happened along the way.
Due to apartheid, which they call it, whites was privileged to certain areas. The area was called District 6, which is in the heart of Cape Town. Was forcefully removed from those areas to live on the Cape Flats, which they call it today, on the outskirts of Cape Town. So it was a wider rule people that control the land, which date back to 1948 onwards. From that time when they declared District 6 a white area, all non-whites have to be forcefully removed from those areas, even though they were a mixed race, which consists of blacks, whites, Indians, in that particular area, which we call the Cape Malays, were then forcibly removed and had to be relocated. There's one particular area in Cape Town which they couldn't touch, was the Boekap, which we call it. It's on the slope of the mountain. It's a beautiful area. The sightseeing from that area, you see the whole of Cape Town. And for some reason, they could not be removed from that area. But this District 6 land, those people were removed to the outskirts of Cape Town, I would speak. Okay. More in desert land where there's sand and people had to build their own houses. Obviously, the government assists them with low-cost housing. So you find 12 people living in a one-room house, and they had to make it like that. But 1994 was a great break for that particular, the new President Nelson Mandela. He took over, and apartheid was abolished from there onwards. So now everybody's free to live any way you want to, go anywhere into where it is. They had a white entrance and they had the non-white entrance. Shops, buildings, wherever you go, it's a racial difference. You get a bus. Whites and down 2-3 people, and the top is full of people. The apartheid did to the Malays and everyone like that was not white.
But since '94, though, when everything was when apartheid was abolished, did the Cape Malays still want to go back to District 6? And do you guys still feel that that's where Cape Malays are most comfortable in, or it's just anywhere?
Oops.
There are those that really wants to go back. There is a process in place where the government have decided those people that were forcefully removed can then claim back the house where they were removed from, or they can get compensation for it. So some have opted to take the money because where they have settled, they've built themselves, a decent house and they've got used to that area. So they prefer that. But there are people that still want to come back. In fact, there are people living there already that went back to District 6. Not all of them. And then the process was closed. And then the president of the land opened the process again. So those that feels that they want to come back, they will make a plan. There is a process ongoing now at the States where there are people getting ready to go back once the houses are finished built. That is an ongoing process at the States.
How about yourself, Eli, or your family?
Yes,
are they looking to go back to District 6?
Yes, I'm on the waiting list. I'm on the waiting list also to go back. And I would love to go back because it's in the heart of Cape Town. It's close to everything. It's where I was born. And it would be nice to live there again. And so is the feeling of many others.
Yeah. Tell us about your family, Eli. Your mom and dad, your granddad and your grandmom.
Yeah, they're all from District 6. Myself, we're a family of 10. I've got 3 brothers and 7 sisters, all of them are alive still. And we were also removed to the outskirts where we had a 2-bedroom house with 10 of us living in there. And we were all raised well. We were all educated well. Parents struggled, but we made it. And there was a time where some of us had to go work to assist with the family needs because the family is big. And so there are many others that did not have the opportunity, like myself, to go to varsity, to study further, because you had to go work to make ends meet. Because at those times, most of our parents were only laborers. Only even though they were qualified artists, but they were seen as laborers. Whereas the white man, has got all the privileges. And we have to do the actual work and the white man get all the money. That is how it was. So most of us was an unfortunate position of not being able to go to college or go to varsity to finish your degree or to become something, to better your life and for your family. But we that's working here, we allow now our young ones, that opportunity to go to varsity and do as best as you can and educate yourself so you can make a better life for society.
But Eli, when you think about it, right? Because you're South African, obviously, but when you actually read up history in 1640s and 1680s, and the Dutch took over from the Portuguese in Malacca, and you read about the Malacca Straits, do you? Because you've been there for generations. Do you have any connections at all? Do you feel you have any connections to that history?
Yeah, no, definitely. We grew up in it, so we feel heavily connected to the history because we grew up in it. We're not the free children who are born or after 1994. We call them free children, but anybody before 1994 will relate and always have at the back of their mind what happened in the past. And because you grew up in it, it's sometimes difficult to get out of it, even though it is there. There are still people, for example, racist at this point in time, even though it's abolished, it's against the law to be racist. But you still find that because they grew up in it. But the younger generation, they haven't experienced that, so it's easier for them to relate to today's life. But we that come from there, we had hard life under the apartheid with our parents and all. So it's going to take a while. Probably the next generation that will be more free compared to
During
this
those
generation.
times, the tough times, did you ever think, you know what? I wonder if the Malay Peninsula, Malaysia would maybe I wonder if we can go there instead because we are part Malay. We are Malay anyway.
Yeah, no, definitely there was many talks about it, of just going back to where we come from, our ancestors came from, and but we knew because of the struggle of the ANC, the African National Congress, who's in power now, we knew that someday things are going to change because the masses are the majority and the whites were the minority. So, and the sanctions that was against the country at the time, nobody wanted to do business with South Africa because of their policy. And they were much under pressure, so they had no choice but to abolish apartheid and continue with a new way. That is what we know. There are people that are friends of mine that actually immigrated to Australia and to London and to other parts of the world. But when they saw South Africa today, most of them are contemplate coming back, and most of them have came back already.
Because it's home.
Because it's a different South Africa now.
Yeah. Have you ever been to this part of the world? Indonesia, Malaysia?
Not yet. I hear so many. There are many of my friends have been there, and they say it's a beautiful place. And hopefully one day I would like to come out there and go see where my ancestors are. Maybe we have got family there that I never know. Maybe someday in the
Have you ever
future.
checked? I mean, like, because nowadays you can do those DNA tests and find ancestors from I don't know how far back. Did you ever do one of those and say, "Oh my goodness, I have family in Kuala Lumpur or something"?
No, not yet. But what happened was there's somebody that came over from Malaysia or Indonesia, I think, to do a comparison test to see who they can find in Cape Town amongst the Malays who are related to the people of Malaysia and Indonesia. And I think they were here for about a year, and they found a lot of commonality, and they found a lot of their family here, and they could then relate. But it was only a short-term project.
Right.
But it was found that there are definitely ancestors from Malaysia and Indonesia, and Java, obviously, yes. Because I know my grandfather used to talk about Java. So and my uncles, they call him Miyagi. He's short and he looked like an Indonesian, a twin of an Indonesian, So even his family and my uncles, they all look like Chinese, mostly from Java, Indonesia. So that is a definite comparison and a definite saying that yes, no, you come from there because you still have that features.
Okay. But what are some
I
of
would
the...
like to go over there sometime or the other, yes.
Yeah, and maybe find your long lost
Yes.
ancestors or family.
Great grandfather.
Great going back. Yeah.
But what are some of the cultures and traditions that the Cape Malays still practice till today, like from previous generations?
From those years? Yes, no, definitely. Still up till today. That is why we continue with the culture that they brought to the source of Cape Town, which was the singing, the Netherlands singing. Songs that we found that were written in the 1800s, in the 1700s, written with feathers. Some of the songs of happenings that happens, every happening that happens, they would write songs about it. Love songs, bridal songs, all related to different. That's why today, when there's weddings and so forth, they sing those particular songs at the weddings. That was that date back to the 16, 17, and 1800s that our forefathers brought to the source here, and which kept them going. And now we continue with those songs in the form of the Cape Malay Choir Board, which existed officially for 80 years, but they existed before that already. And formally they formed this organization which is called the Cape Malay Choir Board. And up until today we sing the 4 genres, which is a soloist, the person sings alone, and then the combined song with the whole group sing together, and then there's the Netherlands song, and then there's the comic, which they call a moppie. It's a comic form. That is the four genres that they sing every year, new songs, and they compete against other choirs, for the best song after being adjudicated, and then gets awarded the silver trophy for the best choir performance.
Do you guys celebrate Hari Raya there? Idul Fitri?
Which victory?
A festival. Do you celebrate the Muslim festival of Idul Fitri there?
Yes, no, definitely, yes, yeah. Idul Fitr, Idul Adha, yes, we do. It's a big thing here in Cape Town amongst the Malays. We do all the traditionals like having Thursday nights prayers, Sundays prayers. It's all tradition that came with those times, with those people, because that is what kept them going for the last 300 years. Is those prayers that they did, and up until today still practice different types of prayers, which we call also tradition that they practice every Thursday night and Sundays and every other day, even at weddings and so forth.
What
So
about
there's a whole
food
lot
though?
of
Yeah.
food also. I think the best food was made from my mother backwards, from my mother, granny, and all those back. But nowadays there's so many food around. With every corner you can buy food. The wives of today, they buy food around the corner. They don't make food anymore. But those years, was the best food ever made.
Any
And
classic Malay dishes that you still
yes, we have the biryani, the curry, and the veggies food, which is they call it if somebody pass away, they call it erkies, beans and peas. That is a traditional food when people pass away. That is and carrots and peas.
Okay.
That's a traditional food, they make when people pass away. Because when there's a funeral, after a funeral, they go to the home and they know what they're going to expect there. And then the biryanis and curries,
no
rotis and
rendangs?
curries. No rendang. It only
Taste?
no rendang for now. It probably stopped some time ago because of the generation that passed on.
Yeah.
They start making less traditional food than what they used to make on a Eid, because Eid day are the days when you get your best food.
Yeah.
Because they start making this food 2 days ago instead of a 5 minute on the pot. Then you start eating. But when the elder people made it, they made it that it overnight, and then you get the best ingredients coming from it.
Speaking of the festival, the Eid festival, do you guys go through any traditions while celebrating this festival? Do you wear traditional costumes still?
Oh yes. I think before the night of Eid, they have to go see the moon with the physical eyes. And that is what they do. They go to a certain area here in Cape Town, which is called Three Anchor Bay. And that is where people over the years, there's an organization called the Moon Sighters. Then they lead this moon sighting event. And on that particular night, everybody looks to the skies. But those that's trained, they know where to look, and they show the other people where to look. When they see the moon, they will announce that the following day will be Eid. And if they don't see the moon, then they confer with the other cities, which Durban, Joburg, and so forth. Have they seen the moon on that side? And if they didn't, then together they decide tomorrow's Eid or tomorrow's not Eid.
Yep.
So that is a tradition that carries on still.
Okay.
It's beautiful to see.
How about the tradition? I'm actually quite curious as to whether the Cape Malays still wear the Malay traditional costume, or is it?
Oh yes,
is
very
it
much so.
appropriated to South African costume already?
Yeah, no, it's definitely the long top, what they call it, the long dress.
The jubah.
With the
Baju kurung?
with the face on, or the soroban, what they call it. Not necessarily on those Eid days or festivals. They wear it right through the year. Whenever they feel like wearing it, they would wear it. You still find people walking around with their long robes and so forth. It's allowed anyway. You can wear your scarf where you want to. You can't be stopped, So you're free to wear whatever how you feel. And definitely, yes, in the olden days, the Malays were recognized and respected for what they wear. And they would say, yeah, here's a learned person coming, but it's just somebody that's got a long thobe on and with a vest on. But they would say it's a learned, and they respect those type of people. And then sooner or later, people became more of the West, wearing their jeans and their
Yeah.
clothes. But of the day, yes, not necessarily on the Eid days and the festival days. Right through the year, they wear their thobe.
Okay.
Some of the people, yeah.
All right.
Especially the females wear the long thobes, fully covered,
Yeah.
with only the eyes
Oh, only
peeking
the
out.
eyes? Oh,
But
okay.
that is, yeah, like a ninja, the ninjas, you only see the eyes.
Okay, right. Yeah.
Fully covered, yeah.
Because
That is
here
how,
in Malaysia,
Uh,
there's something called baju kurung and baju Melayu for the men. The men wear the baju Melayu, and the ladies wear this long dress. They don't have to be covered. Sometimes they do cover, but that's
yes, yes,
very traditional Malay.
Malay.
yes,
So is there something that's very, very uniquely Malay in South Africa that's
yes,
not necessarily religious?
yes, no, definitely. When they see people wearing like that, then they attach them to Malays.
Mm.
They would say, no, that is a Malay. That can't be somebody else. They would immediately recognize them as such.
Mm.
And that is how they wear. And still up to the day, the females also, yeah, fully covered. And some, got a scarf, some don't have a scarf. It's no problem. That is how they feel comfortable in it. So very traditional stuff, yes.
Do you understand any Malay? Or do you speak any Malay?
Well, I can't even speak. I don't understand, but I know some of the traditional kaparang that the kaparang. The kaparang it comes from Malay or Indonesia. It's a wood sandal with just the knob. It's made of wood with just the
Oh,
knob
right,
where you
right.
put your toes. Yeah,
We call it
that
sepatu
makes a
here.
noise.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I don't know why they call it kaparang because I thought
Maybe
it
it's
was a Malaysian.
Indonesian. Yeah.
Or Indonesia could be. Yeah,
Yeah.
because there's no word in the dictionary for that. Yeah, but it comes from there. And when we tell people this is a kaparang, they say, "What is that?" I say that it used to be either Malaysian or Indonesian sandal,
Yeah.
but it's made of wood
Yeah.
and it makes a noise when you walk
Yeah.
on
Generally, though, Cape
Clogs.
Malays,
Yeah.
do they speak? So number one, it's Afrikaans, and then
yes.
English, and then
English.
only do they speak at any Malay at all?
Not that I know of. There is one particular guy. He's on the radio on Voice of the Cape. When he comes in the studio, and he's a presenter, and then he greet in different languages, but then he speak a bit of Malaysian. We don't understand. Maybe if he speaks the words regularly.
Frozen.
Do I pause it? Eli?
Question. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. So Eli, since you are, you've been Cape Malay for generations. You are representing the Cape Malays for us
Yes.
here in Malaysia. Why do you think it is important for future generations of Cape Malays to know their roots?
Yeah, it is very important to know where you're coming from, to find out where you're going to. I think once you know where you're coming from, and then it's better to understand where you're going to. So it's very important actually to trace back your roots and then see what happened to your past generations, and then try to build from there and have a better perspective of life going forward. So I think it's very important to exercise that idea of knowing where you're coming from, where you are at the moment, and then plan your way carefully forward.
Yeah.
So that the next generation after you do the same thing, and then once they see what you've done, it's easier from where you left off for them to carry on forward. But in other words, if my parents or grandparents have already traced back, it would have been easier for me to pick up
Yeah.
from them going forward and then share it with the next generation. But it's very interesting to find out where your ancestors and where your family are.
Yeah.
Before you leave this earth, you must have family somewhere.
Okay. We look forward to to you finding out whether or not you have family here in Malaysia.
Yes. You might
Please
be
do
my
visit.
family, you don't know.
And we might go
Yeah.
and contact them for you, you know?
You might be my family, you don't know.
You never
We'll
know.
never know. Yeah.
Yeah, my surname
Now-
is not really Eli, but it could be your surname.
Yeah.
You never know,
Yeah.
man. Ismail Eli, right?
Actually, before we let you go, can you
Yes.
sing us a little bit about of that the Netherlands, your traditional, the Netherlands?
Zandan.
Yeah, okay. The national anthem, what of our Cape Malay Choir board is called Rosa. Now, Rosa was a lady that we met. You know, it's a romance, it's a relationship between two people.
Mm.
So now this is how it sounds. Las toe ek een meisie berman, haar naam was Rosa deur, en sy sê sy sal my nooit verlaat. You know, and so it goes. But there's a whole team. You get the one singing the lead, and then there's the rest that goes in with it. So it actually sounds beautiful. I can actually send you a copy. And
Okay.
then,
It
sound,
actually
and you can
has
hear.
that Southeast Asian feel to it also, even though it is in Dutch.
Yes,
Right?
it does have.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it might have sound different then,
Mm.
but this is how we sing it now at this point in time. And it's a 5-6 minute song long.
Oh, okay.
Well, thank you so much, Eli, for speaking to us. And yeah,
Only a
all the
pleasure.
best. Yeah.
Likewise.
I'm
keep
gonna
well.
teach you two Malay words, two Malay phrases though, really
Yes.
quick. It's terima kasih.
Terima kasih. No, that I know. I know.
You know
terima
that, right?
kasih. We
You
say
know terima
we say
kasih?
terima kasih, but I think it's terima kasih is the right word.
Terima kasih
But we
is
say terima
thank-
kasih is like thank you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it's thank you.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
another one is jumpa lagi.
Jumpa lagi.
Jumpa lagi is
No, I
we'll
don't know
see
that
you
one.
again.
Jumpa lagi. Okay. Let me
Jumpa
write it down.
lagi. Yeah.
Jumpa lagi.
Jumpa lagi. Yeah.
Jumpa lagi.